something such that we can open up and actually start to have a real conversation about this, because that's really how it's patient. So mostly people are left in a few different places. The first is denial. No way can that be happening. How can someone be that evil? How can, there's just no. It is. And it's confronting. That's okay. The second place a lot of people go is anger. That's a lot where a lot of men experience that emotion. When I showed it to a group of ROTC kids, there were a couple of seniors in the back, these big old football players, and they're like, you could see their shoulders moving. They just wanted to leap and go save her. The other emotion is helplessness. This is such a big problem. Who am I to do something about it? Well, I'm here to tell you, you are the one to do something about it. You and I were the solution. Because all it takes is a conversation. All it takes is you sharing one fact. You can go online and Google almost all this stuff. And you can share it super simply. Going, hey, Danny, I went to go see this thing. And did you know that Florida is the third highest number of calls to the National Trafficking Hotline? And they're going to do one of two things. Going, no way. You go, yeah, come on, let's Google it. What have you done? You've now engaged in the conversation, haven't you? Yeah. Or if they go, really? That's fascinating. Let's learn more. Again, you start the conversation. Now, did you guys see the bystanders? Did everybody see the bystanders? Who was the first one? The young girl. Yeah, she knew these were bad kids. She knew something was going to happen at the party. And when I engage with teenagers, I ask them, what would you do? They come up with some of the best answers. The girls, so Jennifer, I'm going to borrow you, the girls will be like, girl, your lipstick is just off. Come on, we got to go fix that. You know? So girls can interact with girls that way. I've had boys go, well, I just walked by and smashed the drink right out of her hand. You know, and I'm like, awesome. And then my question right behind it is, what if there's two really big guys with guns in their belts behind them? And they're like, oh. And a lot of them say, I'll call 911. I'm like, great. Because here's the thing. We have to have our kids do the thinking, which means you have to do the thinking. You have to engage in conversations with them to do the thinking. Because at some point in time, they're not going to be under your roof. They're going to be in college, or they're going to have a job. And they're going to get invited to a party, and you have no idea what a conversation like this can actually do to save someone's life. Because that really is saving someone's life. So when we talk to the kids, we talk about that. Now I want everybody to pull up their phone, and I want you to put that number in it. And I'm going to bring Kevin up. So don't take the number down yet. And you can put it National Trafficking Hotline, take a picture of it, do whatever you need to do. Because when you see something, I don't want you to say something, I actually want you to do something. We want you to pick up the phone and make a phone call. And there's wristbands in the back in this fabulous shade of blue. And on the front it says Paving the Way Foundation. On the inside is the National Trafficking Hotline. And I did that on purpose. So a lot of times when we're out and about and you know these girls are being watched, these boys are being watched, you actually have the opportunity to hand it to them. I don't know if you guys have seen the soap bars, they do the same thing. Makes a difference. Do we got the number? Okay, good. So I'm gonna be here till the last person leaves, and I'll come back up at the end, but I want to introduce our next speaker. Special Agent Kevin Kaufman. I like saying that. Special Agent Kevin Kaufman has been with the FBI for 15 years. He's in the thank you, there we go, Violent Crimes Against Children. And he's got an extraordinary presentation about internet safety. And take notes. And again, this is one of those things that you want to, how can I apply this? How can I have this conversation with warm welcome for Special Agent Kevin Hoffman.
Good evening. How are you all doing? Good, good. Everybody's still waking up for that powerful video. It was a very good video, Jim. It's the first time I saw it, so very good and very realistic. My name is Kevin Kaufman with the Violent Crimes Against Children, Tampa Division, FBI Tampa Division, stationed out of here in Orlando. I was pleased to get the call to come in with Jan and have a conversation with you all about the dangers of online media and the predators that your kids post online. Within this room, how many people have kids that are ages, are middle school right now? Okay, how many high school? Okay, and then how many are not in school at all, that are younger? Okay, older ones that are anything. Well, the people that already have their hands that said their kids have already gone and graduated, good for you, because I wouldn't want my kids in this this time growing up. What I did is I have an 8 and a 10-year-old, a boy and a girl, and I joined the Violent Crimes Against Children's Task Force about 2 years ago, almost 3 now. And I worked with my coworkers and I said, hey, look, what are we doing to educate the public? What are we doing to educate parents? And they looked at it and said, hey, look, we've tried. It's just we get small turnouts. We don't get as much reaction from parents. And I said, okay, well, let me do something. Let's try to develop a PowerPoint presentation, start giving it to middle school kids or high school kids. And we can educate the parents the first night, and then we'll go to the schools and start educating the kids the next day so the parents can challenge the kids. We went to the high school age kids first. Didn't get a good reception because we found out that by the time they were in high school, they've already had their phones for about 4 years, and they knew everything. And so it wasn't very well received. So I said, okay, let's drop it down to middle school. So we started going to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and started giving this presentation. And I live in Seminole County. I said, you know what? I want to go to Seminole County schools first. I want to get this program. And so I went to Seminole County school boards. I said, hey, look, I want to present this to the school and parents within Seminole County to educate our parents about what's going on and what we're seeing in violent crimes against children. They reviewed it and said it was great. And said, hey, look, I think it's a great idea. Let's go ahead and start it. And we started going around and educated middle schools. I think I hit every middle school last year in Seminole County. I've done some Orange County schools, and then I've gone to numerous private schools and groups such as this, and have done this presentation. It's really easy, relaxed presentation. If you have questions when you're going through this, raise your hand, ask it, because I'm sure there's other parents that are going to have the same questions. This is the same presentation I give the kids, and I give it to you guys too, because I like to put it and talk towards parents and kids in the same. It's great that we have kids in here, because then you can turn to your kid and say, hey, you see what's going on? This is why I tell you to stay off Facebook. This is why I tell you not to do things on Instagram. So if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoy this. No sound. He's working on it right now. Looks familiar.
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
Look at all those folders that they have. All right, so internet safety. What are some of the things that you guys like to do online? Just in general. Anything. Parents. Post pictures. Okay, Facebook, usually. Instagram. Kids in the room, what do you guys like to do? Any kids in the room? I see one right back there. What do you guys like to do online? Games? Gaming? Yeah. Posting Instagram? Snapchat? How many people have Snapchat here? Kick? Any kids have Kick in here? Any adults have Kick?
No.
Okay, if you have a kid, I need to see after this if you're an adult. Because there's only reason to be on that is that 15-year-old, 14-year-old boys or girls, no adults or predators. That's usually what goes on. So you ask, what the big thing of making sure that this is changing? Let's see. There we go. So all these applications, these are applications that predators use to go after your kids and to go after people online, not only for just pictures, but also human trafficking. They're the exact same apps. Now, you're taking pictures of it, I see people taking pictures of it. It's great that you take pictures of it, but I like to say is, because everybody asks, well, why doesn't the FBI shut this down? Why doesn't law enforcement go and shut these down if they know that predators went out and used these against our kids? And the answer is, as soon as we get onto one of those apps, it changes to another app. Ask your kids how many people, I think Facebook was the big thing for kids and parents about 3 or 4 years ago. Most kids are not on Facebook now. They're going away because they know their parents are monitoring. Okay, so they're going to other applications. So these apps that you got up there, you got Viber, Snapchat, Discord, Instagram, all these different ones are apps that we're seeing, that I'm seeing in the cases I'm going through as far as just as I can tell you, I had a Discord and a Viber one probably in the last 2 weeks. Okay, online posting. I know with the show of hands, how many people have Facebook accounts? All the parents, okay. How many people had Facebook accounts when they were little? Nobody, right? Did anybody have camera phones when they were little? Did anybody have Instagram when they were little? Okay, the point that I'm making is we didn't grow up with this, okay? As parents, I can't sit up here and say, when I'm talking to my kids, I know what you're going through. I know exactly what you're going through, and this is why I don't do this. Okay, the bottom line is we don't. We don't know what our kids are going through. We don't know what it's like to grow in the era of social media, camera phones, and the internet. So what I want you to look is, it's a cartoon, and it seems kind of cheesy. I always like to say this in caveat. However, the point behind it is I'll make it, and I'll let you guys know as far as the consequences of posting too much online.
I used to be this, and now I'm this. This is all the time.
All right, so online posting. Eduardo, and this is what you have to guys look at as far as with parents. Eduardo was in high school, and I know I saw a bunch of hands go up with kids that are in middle school. Okay, so think back to when you were growing up in middle school and all the things you did, whether it was legal or not, the things that you did that your parents didn't catch you doing. Now add a cell phone into it and take a picture of it. Okay, so you're in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, even our 9th grades, you go all the way through high school. Think of all the stuff that our kids put online or use through their social media and what they put online. Think about everything. Okay, so you've got pictures that are put up there because one of the friends thinks it's funny. One of the friends thinks it's a joke and they post it. Okay, so now in 6th grade, you've got 6 years of posting until you're in 12th grade. Out of all the parents in the room, how many parents think about when your kid goes to apply to college, just like when you guys do apply to jobs, what do you think the colleges do? They check social media. Okay, you might have a straight-A student, you might have a kid that is a phenomenal athlete and is looking to get a scholarship, and then the college decides to go on their social media and looks at it and goes, you know what, you are a great athlete, you have great grades, but thank you, but no thank you. We don't need you. We don't want you in our school because that's not what we represent. So think about 6th grade, starts in 6th grade, or whenever they get their phone and start developing all these social media apps that are on there. What people don't realize is as soon as you hit that post button and it goes on the internet, it's out there forever. You're not going to get it back. And it's connected to your account. And a lot of people say, well, hey, I set my account private. That's great. Instagram had a bunch of private accounts that were hacked last year, and all that information got out. Okay? It doesn't take much to hack a server or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or anything else that you guys like to do out there, and it turns out that it gets hacked and then it's out there forever. So think about it. When you're online posting with your kids and you're trying to talk to your kids, let them know that it could hurt future career opportunities, not just school opportunities, career. I joined the FBI. If I had a camera phone back then, I don't know if I'd be here. Because I probably did some things that the FBI would be looking at. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but I'm saying I was a kid. Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I'm only asking,
You
you said you could ask questions along the way.
can ask questions along the way.
Is it true that even if they delete like their Instagram or whatever, once someone takes a picture or copies it or takes it from whatever, it goes somewhere else, you can delete your account and the picture can still be
Picture still be there. If your picture's made public and it's gone on the internet, regardless of whether or not the account has been deleted, the picture's going to be there forever. So, what was that? That 100% correct. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is your profile picture with your Facebook users. And don't be ashamed to answer this because I get a bunch of people that say yes. How many people post on their Facebook as their profile picture a picture of them or their family? Okay? Now the question I ask, and this is one that as you guys walk away from here tonight, is ask you why. And the reason why I ask this is everybody you are friends with knows who your family is, knows who you are, and knows what you look like. Why are you putting yourself out as an opportunity to anybody else on Facebook? Your profile picture is not private. Regardless if you set it to private. You go on Google and you can find your profile picture. That is the one thing that is not private on Facebook. So people will have their name associated with their picture. And you set yourself up for identity theft. You set yourself up for security. So let's talk about the security. Okay? Security. We had a case that I used to start this with. We had a guy over in Afghanistan and Iraq who was doing the exact same thing of that was happening to that girl in the first video. He was getting videos. She had a mom that was pregnant and that she didn't want to upset. So she decided to go ahead and comply with the guy, and he continued to blackmail her. And she sent pictures. Well, that guy was able to get on her account, and back then it was MySpace, was able to get onto MySpace, was get on everything, was able to track down where she lived, where she worked. And he was in Afghanistan and Iraq, and he was on a military base. He was a British citizen. He was working for the Americans. He actually flew over here to Florida, took pictures of himself in her room, and then showed up at her employer's pizza place down in International Drive. So you ask yourself, security-wise, every single one I can see, because I still see it on Facebook with my wife's Facebook, and the friends that go, everybody has friends that like to post, hey, we're going down to Menchie's, we're getting ice cream. Hey, I just checked in to Don Julio's. Hey, we're going to the AMC movie theater. You know what? That's great, and it's great that your friends want to let you guys know, but once again, if I'm a predator, or if I am a bad guy, or a burglar, or want to come rob you, or kidnap you, or human traffic you, I'm going to follow them. And I'm going to be like, okay, so she likes to go to Menchie's. Oh, she's part of Winter Springs High School, which was the video Winter Springs High School? I thought it was. I saw it. But Winter Springs High School. Or they go to Timber Creek. Anything that you post, pictures of football games, sports, has the logos. Next thing you know, then you've got that, looking on it, and they go, okay, they go to Timber Creek. I know who this is. Oh, that's the girl, that's their teenage daughter. I can either target that and figure that. And these are what predators do. So when you think about the online posting and the consequences of too much online posting, that's one of it, security-wise. So Eduardo was a simple party that he went to celebrate his swimming success, that he's going to get a scholarship. And it was all thrown away with one simple post. And it's exactly what the title is, 2 Kinds of Stupid. Because it's one mistake that Eduardo made that is now throwing away all those things that all of our parents, I've got a daughter that's in 10-year-old soccer, I've got aspirations for her to be a scholarship, soccer scholarship. And if she was senior year and that happened, as a parent, I'd be devastated. Because that's exactly what we don't want with our kids. And the biggest thing that I compare, and the reason why I do this presentation, is I equivalent to DARE. And I'm not saying because it's drugs or anything else, but think about when you were in DARE growing up. Okay, they said, hey, drugs are bad. Okay, cocaine's bad, marijuana. If you see this, say no. Report it. Okay? I'm doing the same thing with internet safety. I'm trying to educate you so you can educate your kids, or your kids can be educated. So when they're faced with a decision such as Eduardo, or whatever, all the other stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight, they know what's the right thing to do. Because you're not going to be there 24 hours a day. And I can 100% guarantee there's going to be kids that are straight A students that you think they're not doing it, but they are. I've had numerous cases where I've knocked on doors, talked to dads, and he goes, now my daughter. And I said, that's my daughter. So just think about it as we go through. Okay, sexting or texting? And this is always when I get into middle school, so everybody goes, well, why are you talking about sexting? Let me tell you, parents, your kids know about all this by 6th, 7th, and 8th grader. I'm going to tell you right now, I've had victims as young as 7 years old. 7 years old, sending inappropriate stuff online. So it's getting younger and younger and younger as the internet grows. So sexting.
Volume.
As I ask them, do you send it?
Parents, do you send it?
No.
You made the right choice. But as I say with things always, let's try it if it's different. Should he pass it on to his friends?
No.
It's not your choice anymore. Should he pass it on?
No.
It's not your choice. Was that dad in the last one? That was the father, right? Okay. So the next topic that we talk about is sexting, or texting, is what I like to say. Okay, with a show of hands, how many people married the person that they were boyfriend, girlfriend in middle school? Good. We got one. Always is one. Always. And then I throw it out there. How many people are friends still with their middle school friends? A couple more, okay? The percentage is very low usually. It's probably this percentage that I just saw with the friends is a little bit more than what it is usually. Okay, so what I like to tell your kids as I'm talking to them at school is everybody's got besties. Everybody has boyfriends and girlfriends, especially as they start going 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and they go in there. Okay, what people like to say is their best friends, their boyfriends, girlfriends, well, I'm in love. This is the one I'm going to marry. I trust him or her with my life. And this is the one that I'm going to be with in the future. However, that person then asks for that picture, just like in the video. You decide to send it, and I think the lady in the back summarized it exactly. What happens when you send it? You don't own it. You don't own it. It's exactly what it is. But then you always have the smart kids that sit there and say, well, I use Snapchat. I know when they take it or they screen capture it. I say, well, that's great. You gonna get it back? And they're like, no. Well, yeah, that's a good reason not to do it. And then I say, okay, well, what happens if I take a picture of the picture? And they're like, what do you mean? And I pull out both my phones and I take a picture. I said, what do you think I do with predators online? I said, I chat with them so they don't know I'm screen capturing, and I just take pictures of what they're sending me. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So then I have kids that sit there and say, well, hey, look, I just like to take pictures and I don't send them. And I ask them, so, well, first of all, what's the purpose of it? I don't know what you're doing. But what happens if your phone gets lost? Which happens all the time, and I'm sure parents, as I go into this, I'm sure my kid will lose their phone. Well, it's locked. Well, sometimes it's not locked, and sometimes it can be broken into. So then it gets broken into, and you have pictures on there that you took that were of crime, criminal acts, pictures that are you in the nude, or you in a position that you don't want to be in. And then that person sends those out and puts those online. You can ever get them back? No, you're not. So I always say, with besties and boyfriends and girlfriends, and you think about it, you're not going to be best friends or marry the middle school boyfriend or girlfriend. It's very rare you'll probably marry your high school boyfriend or girlfriend either. But if someone's asking you for pictures, the bottom line is just don't send it. This goes to adults too, because it happens with adults all the time, where I get cases of them calling because they're getting sextortion. Okay, and that happens. This happens where all of a sudden, just like in that first video, it doesn't have to be boyfriend or girlfriend. It gets online, and then next thing you know, that guy's exactly what he said. In the last text, he says, I own you or you're mine. And as soon as that picture goes out, just like in the video that Jan showed, they don't want it out. They don't want it sent to all their people, their friends in the high school. So they will do things thinking that they're going to get better, and that things are going to get better, and it just continues to snowball down the hill. So what I tell kids is say, hey, look, if you're going to take pictures, it should be a picture that your parents can see, a priest can see, father, sister, brother, anybody, a teacher. If you're okay with that, then you should take the picture. If not, there's no reason to take the picture. And what I always ask, and this is always something I do, is I say, how many people have phones in this room? Okay, you have phones. Take the phone out, unlock it, and hand it next to the person to you. If you can do that, don't do it. If you can do that and honestly say to yourself, I've got no pictures in there that I'd be ashamed of, then good for you. If not, you might want to start considering what you're doing on your phones. Yes, ma'am. That's my one that I always like to tell parents that you can use against your kids. Although the FBI will not go after your kid that is 12, 13, 14 years old for producing child pornography. If you are under the age of 18 and you are taking nude photographs of yourself in the genitalia region, you're producing child pornography. You cannot do that. If you send it out, you are distributing child pornography. If you receive it from your girlfriend, you are receiving child pornography. The consequence it is against the law. Locals will charge you. They can always charge you. It's for the federal side. If you're an adult on the federal side, it's a very, very harsh penalty. That's why we don't go after minors. What I'll do, if you call me and say that you're receiving it, I'll confiscate the phone, and they won't get the phone back. Which sometimes parents are like, well, that's a device, but it's contraband. It's like having cocaine or something in your house. It's illegal material. So what I tell the kids, which most kids get upset when I tell you, if your parents call me and I have to come to the house and you're doing it, I'm going to take your device. And you won't get your device back because it's contraband. And then, on top of it, your parents probably aren't going to trust you. And they're going to start monitoring, or you'll lose your phone for good. So it's probably not good. So the bottom line is, like I said, it's against the law. And the very last point there says bully or judge. There's people just like Eduardo that can make one post online and they choose, or the sexting video, and they choose to post it. And all of a sudden that boyfriend or girlfriend, you break up. And of course, you don't care about each other 2 years down the road. And they go, hey, I've got a nice picture of him or her 2 years ago that they sent me when we were boyfriend or girlfriend. Do you want to see it? And then it starts going around the school. And they start using that to bully him. And they start using it to blackmail him. So you got to think about it. Bottom line is, don't send pictures out. This is exactly, here it goes, sexting. Or texting like pictures that are illegal. Because that's another thing. The law can come in here if you're doing something illegal, or you video it and you send it out to your bestie, and your bestie decides to not like you anymore, which happens all the time. And they say, I want to get back at this guy, and shoots it out. Next thing you know, law enforcement's knocking on your door because you did something wrong with your bestie, and you're on video doing something wrong. Yes, ma'am? Yep. Kids can't consent to child pornography. They're under the age of 18, they can't do it. So, all right.
Studies teacher spent this afternoon in federal court facing child porn charges.
Greg Vaughn, who's been teaching at Haggerty High School, is accused of having an online relationship with a young teen who lives out of state. West News man was in court today when prosecutors revealed some new details about Vaughn's past.
Yeah, this was actually supposed to be a bond hearing, but at the request of Vaughn's lawyer, that was postponed, and the judge made it a probable cause hearing during which an FBI agent testified that Vaughn may have other teenage victims and that he's been investigated for child porn before. In federal court Tuesday, an FBI agent testified Haggerty High School teacher Gregory Vaughn, who's accused of producing child pornography, may have victimized more than one girl between the age of 13 and 16. The agent testified on a camera that was seized from Vaughn's Oviedo home, they found explicit sexual images of another possible teenage victim. They also found compromising photos of the crotches and buttocks of random people taken at the beach and a baseball game. During questioning, the federal prosecutor revealed that in 1999, the FBI opened what she called a similar investigation of Vaughn, but the defense objected to the question and the prosecutor said no more. Vaughn was arrested Friday after the FBI said the mother of a 16-year-old girl in Colorado had discovered Vaughn was exchanging nude photos with her daughter. The two met on a website called...
All right, so I don't put the website out for the kids because that's the first thing they'll do is they'll go on the website and start looking at what it is. Mr. Vaughn, so you said that the daughter was 16 years old, and I was the investigator on this case. The grooming started 13 years. So when she was 13 years old, 3 years, okay, this was a grooming process. So grooming, and I always explain to you the grooming process, and you saw it in the human trafficking video with the grooming as far as the girl meeting her at school, being nice to her, doing exactly what the grooming people do online. Okay, the predators online always or follow this standard technique constantly. I go online, I pose as both boys and girls, and I get guys, and with guys, I say guys because it's very rare that you get a female that grooms you. We like to call that the unicorn because it very rarely happens that you have a female groomer. But in this case, in this instant, you have a groomer, and Mr. Vaughn, he went to a website, he made a profile, he went to a profile of this girl who was using her real name, was using a picture of herself, and was using her age, which then automatically gives a green light to predators. Okay, it goes back to that Facebook thing about using your real stuff to have it out there. So Mr. Vaughn went ahead and contacted her and said, hey, look, I'm into photography. I saw that you're into art. You're very pretty. Do you have any pictures that you can send me? Because I'm a model, and I can do it. You'd be a model. And she goes, yeah, of course. They start chatting back and forth. And the first thing starts off with flattery. You're very pretty. You're 13 years old. I think he said he was like 38 or something like that, which is his total lie on his part. He's 54. And went ahead and said, hey, look, I'm a teacher. I'd love to be your friend over online. And so Mr. Vaughn and this girl started talking and chatting. And of course, just like every kid and teenagers, and just like in the video that Jan showed you, they go through problems. Middle school, one of the hardest times for kids. Body's changing, people are changing, friends are going opposite ways, everybody's going different ways. Okay? When they're not accepted, they start looking for friends. And if the friends aren't in life, they start looking to friends on the internet. Games, the gaming apps, okay? The websites like this. Well, she was having a rough time. She was going through a rough time, fighting with friends, didn't think her parents knew anything, decided that she was going to confide in this guy and tell him what her problems are, and basically a relationship started with him. Next thing he says is he goes, don't tell your parents about this, or don't tell friends. If you remember in Jan's video, I think it was, hey, you don't have to tell your parents. You don't have to tell anybody. Okay? Immediately when I tell your kids, if anybody says that to you, that's a red flag. I mean, that goes back to danger stranger when you were younger. If someone's telling you not to tell your friends or tell parents, you're going down the wrong way. So it continued down the path. They'd start talking. And of course, like every groomer, 100%, they ask the next question. Do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Always. And I'm telling you this from experience. This happens usually in the first 4 minutes. Okay? They ask boyfriend or girlfriend. And you answer them. And they go, okay, that's great. Have you ever had sex? And you reply back, the most in her aspect, no, I have never. Well, hey, I can teach you. I can teach you about this. And I can teach you about the problems and help you with your problems. And you know what? We can work through this. And you know what? I can also give you some money. You're a kid out there, and she was in Colorado. If you send me pictures of yourself, meaning in bikinis at the time, I can pay you gift cards, and I'll send you gift cards. I'll give you certain kind of game cards or gift cards that you have. She went ahead, started building a relationship over that year time, started confiding in him to a point that she started to confide in him as a boyfriend-girlfriend. So they started exchanging nude photos back and forth, and he was paying her, actually did a billing list of, if you send me this, I will give you this. If you send me this, I'll do that. To a point that they were going back and forth. And it all started on a website where he went in and picked, and it basically was a predator to her. Okay? Mr. Vaughn, it was brought to our attention when the mom was in the kitchen and the daughter went to go grab something at the door, and the email was left open, and mom decided to be nosy. And the girl, I went to the news station, they interviewed me today about something that's, I guess, with the gaming apps and how predators are going after kids now. And she said, well, how do you avoid telling parents not to be the helicopter parent? The one that's hovering around kids. And I'll tell you right now, parents, be the helicopter parent. Because all you're doing is you're caring about your kids. And the way I attribute this in the grooming and online internet safety and educating them, if there's a parent in this room when their kid was 3 or 4 years old, would take their kid, take them to a playground and say, I'll be back in 2 hours. If there's a parent in this room that did it, then we need to talk. But that's exactly what you're doing with your kid when you hand them a cell phone or you hand them an iPad and you say, don't do anything bad. And that's what parents don't understand, is if you're not educating your kids and letting them know about this guy and all the other guys out there that I'll show you at the end that are out there, then we are mistaken. We are doing an injustice to our kids. And it's one of those things, like I said, I have a 10 and 8-year-old. She doesn't have a phone yet. It's my 10-year-old. And she already knows that I've told her, and I'm one of those dads that's going to be, you're going to have text and you're going to have phone. That's it. And, you know, a lot of parents will look at it and say, hey, it's not practical. You know, kids will say that, well, I'm not the cool kid. I'm not there to make my kid the cool kid. I'm there to get them to raise to adulthood so I don't have to deal with it when they make their own choices as they get older. So the bottom line is you're looking at this 100%. The girl on the right, okay, Snapchat, social media, online predator. A guy was let out of Alabama for sexual assaulting a woman. Lived upstairs from her. Parents knew that he was talking to the daughters, but then started talking to her on Snapchat. Lured her out of the apartment. She was never seen again and was killed. And sexually assaulted. Snapchat. Okay? And I'm not saying Snapchat is the worst app to have, but it's once again, it's like I said, you ask yourself as a parent, what's the purpose? So they can do dog faces. They can sit and have little sparklies over their eyes and send it out. You ask yourself, what's the purpose? It disappears. That should be a clue for a parent. That if it's disappearing, then your kids are probably using it because they don't want you to see what they're doing. The Kick app. As soon as you log out of Kick, it erases all your content. Another way to avoid parents and everything that's going on. Many apps are now doing this, and that's why I always laugh at these app makers. They always want to do stuff that's, you know, anonymous or disappears and everything else. All that's doing is making it easier for predators to prey on your children. And it makes it harder for you to monitor as a parent. So keep that in mind.
This next girl, her name is Jenna. She's 14 years old. We've been talking online over text message and even had a phone conversation.
So right now we have the parents of Jenna. Jenna thinks her parents are going out tonight for date night. She thinks my brother's going to be driving, so she's going to get in the car, but she doesn't actually know that it's all just me. So I'm going to text her right now. Did your parents leave yet? Yeah, like 15 minutes ago. Do you think she's going to go through with this?
I don't even believe it's home. I'm not going to friends laying around.
What's your address? Is this your house?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. All right. We are here to come out. You don't think she's coming out?
She better not be coming out.
Yep. I see someone.
Number one dads.
Yeah. It's in the back. Over there.
Jenna, look, turn around. Turn around. Turn around. How can you dare go to a stranger's car?
What are you thinking? Just explain
Give
it
your
to
phone
me.
right now. Give me your phone now.
What would have happened if you came out and it wasn't us sitting back here and there were really crazy people back here?
We never want to saw you again.
We watched movies together. We looked at newspaper articles and the news that all these things are real life situations that happened. And we discussed them. What, do you think it's fine to go try it out on your own?
But what happens if Evelyn drove away with 3 strangers sitting in this car? Huh? What would you have done? What would we have done?
understand, you probably thought you were talking to a 15-year-old, but you didn't know what was happening, did you? You just got in with it, you don't know everything I was saying. You understand now, you should never ever do that again. It should teach you a lesson forever, your whole life.
750,000 registered. That's registered, not to mention the unregistered ones. Okay, so the reason why I throw this in there, he's an actor, and he's actually developed a series. There's a bunch of these. So if you go home, you can actually see, he actually catches a couple of the kids doing it twice, which is absolutely pathetic. Okay, first of all, if your kid jumps in a white van like that, there's an issue. Okay, that's the first thing. However, the online profiles, the reason why I bring this in is the online profiles. This is exactly what human traffickers use. This is also exactly what predators use. Fake profiles. We've had predators that have used profiles that they'll take and they'll grab. Remember those Facebook pages that I was talking about that you guys have pictures of or anything else? They'll grab those and they'll pretend to be you. And they'll develop profiles because what they'll do is they'll go through and they'll find out who your friends are by your likes or by the things on your social media, and they'll start claiming to be you. And then they'll end up being it. So if you're a kid, they'll start acting as you, and then they'll take victims from other cases, and they'll use those pictures to produce more pictures, to have you produce pictures. And what happens is your kids believe that these kids are who they are, and they believe they're having an online relationship with it, and, well, she sent me a picture. Well, he sent me a picture, and they go, and they send a picture back. And then guess what they do with that picture? They go out and victimize other kids. Okay? So it goes on to saying is what I always tell kids is, look, if you don't know who you're talking to online, you shouldn't be talking to them. I mean, there's no reason why you should be talking to anybody online that you don't know. Kids that are gaming, the gaming apps. I just interviewed a kid last week that was playing some military game, and he said they were on a raid, and this guy came in and started talking to him. Well, that guy's been in communication with him for the last 2 years, sending him cards for naked pictures. All because he was getting gaming cards. So think about it, it's out there, and your kids are being approached with this. So the reason why I throw in there as a parent, exactly what the mom said there. And then the dad followed up. She goes, what would you do if you got in the car? How would you escape? And that's what she said to the daughter. And then the dad followed up by, what would we do? And this is what I tell your kids. You never understand until you become a parent how precious your kids are. And as a father of a daughter and a son, if my daughter or son were taken like that, I'd be destroyed. And every parent would be destroyed. So when I say it's important to sit and educate your kids and to talk about the scenarios such as this, you need to. And he's got 5 or 6 other scenarios on there where they're boys and they're meeting girls. And they say, oh yeah, come on over to the house. And he goes in, the kid walks right into the house, sits down on the couch, and then 3 men come out and act like they're going to attack the kid. The kid just goes berserks. But it happens, both boys and girls. It happens. This is exactly another scenario of how human trafficking happens. They're lured to a park, they're taken, and they're never seen from again. So think about that. Think about the scenarios. This last topic that we're going to talk about is something that is huge, that is going on in your kids' lives that we didn't have. But we had it, but it wasn't internet. And this is going to be bullying. So watch this video. It's a very important video for any parent in here, especially a father. You'll see what at the end, and I'll tell you why it always tears me up. But watch this video. That's Amanda Todd. And what people don't usually realize on this, because a lot of the kids have seen this video, and it kills me as a parent all the time, is Amanda Todd killed herself 2 months after she created this video and posted it on YouTube. 7th grade. 7th grade. Her dad found her in a ditch. So every time I see this, I ask myself, okay, why do you do what you do? It's exactly the reason is that. Okay, it all started with an online post. And think back to Eduardo with that post. She chose to do something that she shouldn't have done. One picture that she did took her life, led to that. So think about all the stuff that your kids are doing online. Bullying. Bullying is a huge, huge problem in our schools now. Back in the day, it was harder to bully someone because you had to be in person. You had to write notes. You stand in front of them and do it. Now it's easy. I like to call it internet courage. Because people go home and they'll post something, or they'll take a picture of someone in school that's inappropriate, or makes them look stupid, or embarrasses them, and they post it. What I try to educate kids on, and I try to tell kids and parents is, although you don't have to like everything people post, and if you're sitting around with your friends and they're doing this, you need to let someone know that it's happening. Or reach out to that person and let them know they're not alone. You don't have to comment on harassment or any text messages or anything that are out there. Don't participate in it. Stand up for the victim. And then report the bullying. This is happening far too much in society today. Amanda Todd is one of them. And if you don't think it's just in this, Amanda Todd lived in Canada. He was cyberbullying, sentenced to 11 years he was in a Dutch prison. Multiple victims, not just Amanda. He has an answer for Amanda's crime. That's just for the other kids. If anybody recalls, I think this was in January. 12 years old, 2 were arrested. Imagine your kid getting arrested for bullying at 12 years old, for bullying another 12-year-old. All started over because they decided to post a comment of that the girl had an STD. That's the only thing they were doing, and they continued to bully her online until she went home and committed suicide. So if you don't think it's out there, it's out there. And there's numerous cases out there. Online bullying is very, very, very up and coming, is a problem in all schools. Doesn't matter what school you go to. I've gone to private schools, and no matter what, after every presentation, I have someone come up to me and tell me of a kid that's being bullied, or someone that is in a group where their picture is being passed around, or sexting is happening, or they posted something they want to get it back. It happens. And the only way we're going to stop this is by educating you and your kids and making sure they know the consequences of what's going on out there. Bullying is exactly what it says. It can ruin your life, your kid's life, or it can take another, just like it took Amanda Todd's. How do we do that? All right. So all these guys right here, these are some of my cases that you're looking at. Very tough guy. We were a kid out in Orange County case, of a kid. She was 12 years old, started on Minecraft. They ended up doing through an app, started talking online with Minecraft. He came out and kidnapped her, took her to Georgia. We found her moments before she was about to be sexually assaulted by the guy. Was in bed with him when they knocked on the door. Cabeza was a teacher in Lake County that traveled for fictitious 9 and 11-year-old girls that he was going to travel to do stuff with. Anybody a golfer in here? Chichi Rodriguez? It's his nephew. Chichi Rodriguez's nephew. Remember the very first video I showed you with all those files? He had over 1,000 victims that he was doing the exact same thing to across. And it was great because when we arrested him, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I grab a picture? He's like, I need to get my golfing hat. And he puts on his golfing hat and takes a picture with us. But that guy had over 1,000 victims standing back. David Hartman was just sentenced to 30 years. He was running a teen modeling website in Brevard County. Law enforcement was trying to get him for 25 years. We just got him and landed on it. If you Google him, he's got a lot of history on there. And then Mr. Vaughn, and then Facebook, the Sanford man in the corner. He developed 2 private rooms in Facebook. Another thing Facebook is starting to come is they have secret messaging in secret rooms. A lot of people don't understand with users. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in Facebook, and he created 2 secret rooms where child pornography was being exchanged. The great thing about it is I was able to get into it, and I found out that his profile listed him in Sanford. And amazingly, I had 2 notional 9, 11-year-old girls that, you know, if he was interested, and of course on his birthday, he reached out to me and said he was interested, and decided to travel to meet my girls, the notional 9 and 11-year-old girls, and showed up and was arrested. So these are all local cases, and these are it's not even touching my caseload. So parents, it's out there. Kids, it's out there. These guys are out to get your kids. These are the predators that are out there. And it doesn't even touch the human trafficking side that what Jan is talking about. It's it's an ongoing problem that we're seeing in our society. I wish it was going away, but I don't think it is. And I think it's going to get worse unless we educate the public about it. If you guys have any questions, there's my number. And if you have questions for the group, I can answer them too. Yes, sir.
I believe it was like the third slide. You have like a contact number for reporting.
You talking about for the national tip line? I can go back there. Let's see if we can do that. You talking about the video?
After the video, you have. Okay.
Let's see. This thing's not going back for me. I'll find it for you. I can get it for you.
Yeah, I can give that to you.
Any other business? Never. No.
Well, that's after seeing this. That's what I want you to say that.
Once again, as far as your kids are going to be on the internet doing classwork, I mean, my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old are doing that now. However, I'm supervising them, and I'm right with them. I just saw San Diego State. I'm a San Diego State alum. Very good. Sorry, I learned it right there. I know what it is.
Squirrel.
It is squirrel. But as far as the age-wise, it all determines on when you're ready to monitor and educate. There are so many programs that you can buy to monitor your kids. I can't recommend programs because that would be working for people and I'm the FBI. I can't do that. However, there are many programs. Jan might be able to recommend it, but I can't. But it's basically when you're ready to monitor. To me, once again, as I told you with my 10-year-old, it's text and phone. That's all it needs. And if she wants to text me, she can text me, disable the camera, and then that's it. And like I said, a lot of people will sit there and say, I had a girl that was going on a full ride to Yale, straight A student, and I showed up to the dad, and I go, hey, your daughter was involved with exchanging nude photographs of herself with a guy up in Virginia. And he's like, absolutely not, that's not my daughter. My daughter has a full ride to Yale. She's 18, she graduates next week. And I said, well, is that your daughter? And he showed me a picture of the face, and he goes, that's my daughter. I said, okay, hey, we'd like to come back and talk to her. She was in Disneyland at the time. Came back and talked to her. When we came back and talked to her, we went to knock on the door. Dad went and woke her up, took her a little extra time to get ready. We went into her room, interviewed her, and adamantly denied it at first. I said, no, that's not me. And then we proceeded to show her the pictures. I'm like, look, gigs up, we know it's you. We know it's your IP, we know if that's you, we can see it's you. She says, yeah. We asked her to look at her phone. She was erasing her phone while she was getting ready. So luckily for us, there's an iPad over to the left of her, and I'm like, is that your iPad? I said, yeah. How about you give that to me? We'll look through that, and it had everything on it. However, the point of this is she had been, since age 14, had been posting nude photographs of herself on websites so she could get comments from people. She was talking with people on death row in Alabama. She was also using acid. So these are all the things that Dad, who said she was a straight A student, and then this story always bothers me because my 10-year-old is a straight A student. She is one that I'd be like, hey, here's my phone, go do what you want to do, because I trust her. However, it's one of those things as a parent, you've got to be that helicopter. You have to be that parent that hovers around, and when you're ready to do that, that's what I would say. Give them the phone. Yes, ma'am.
I work out from home, so as a mom who uses Facebook to stay connected with my friends and family that live out of town, especially grandparents that live far out of town. So I use that to keep them updated on what the kids are doing. My kid plays football, he's actively involved in school, and I post everything because the grandparents and the aunts and uncles get very excited. How can you still stay in contact with your friends and family through Facebook and still be safe?
I mean, the biggest thing that my intention is not to scare you about getting onto these applications. My intention is to make you aware. If you're posting stuff for grandma and grandpa, and you're posting stuff that you have no problem if strangers saw it, then so be it. But keep in mind that when you are posting those things, and if it does get out, predators or anybody else can use it. So when you're posting, pictures and they have logos of the high school, and that's things that, believe it or not, Jan's jumping in on this. Hold on.
I can't help it. I can't help it. So can we turn this mic down just a little bit, Brian? Thank you. One of the things we coach our parents and our kids is to have a safe word. Right? Is because what happens is people can, just like that guy can, find your kid and then pull up one day and there, daughter's out there with her own cheerleading stuff and somebody that looks like this, right? He looks pretty nondescript. Doesn't look like a scary guy, right? Looks like this and goes, hey, your parents told me to come get you. Your dad got hurt at work. First thing out of their mouth is, what's the safe word? They don't know it. They don't clearly get in the car and then go find an adult. Right? So you don't want to suppress stuff. That's the thing. That's what Deputy Luke's coming. That's one of the things. Yeah. No, look, I get it. No, I get it. You just want to be smart and teach your kids to be smart. That's the thing. I'm over here, I'm thrilled you're scared to death. Because you're going to start thinking different thoughts. You're going to start taking different actions. You're going to have completely different conversations with your kids than before when life was just easy.
Oh, no.
No.
Helicopter.
You've got to be in there.
You're the helicopter parent, and I got to tell you, Debbie was going to say the same. When we come back, I was a police officer prior, so anything
Come this way because there's Facebook Live, so come walk over here. Come over here.
The bottom line is, when I did this presentation, my mom actually came and sat and did one of these with it. As soon as she was done with the presentation, she closed her Facebook. She's like, I'm not doing this.
I just changed my pictures.
Well, the thing about it is, it goes back to the whole texting and putting pictures out. Whatever pictures you put out, you just got to know that they're out there for the world. No matter how many private settings you have on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you are putting it out. And now you ask yourself, well, how do I keep in touch? Well, you can text those directly to your Zoom there.
Zoom.
I know. And there's different programs that you can set up. There's clouds that you can put the pictures to the cloud. The cloud can be hacked, but it's not on a social media website. But I can't preach to you saying that I don't do the same thing. But my wife does the exact same thing. That's how my parents and everybody else stay up with our kids. Now, is it something that's safe? That can a predator search me out? I'm pretty sure they can find me. But that's the risk that I'm willing to take as far as putting it out there.
Deputy Willis has something to say.
One that graduated last year, one that's a senior this year, and I have one at middle school. They're in East Oak. My daughter goes to quarterly.
I'm scared for the I'm scared for the 10-year-old. Okay, that video that Jan said there, exactly what she said with emotion. I was angry. It angers me that people are out there and the predators are out there. But the whole point is, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to make you aware. And I think that you are scared, just like Jan said, means that I guarantee you're going to be aware now. And that's what I'm trying to do. I want you to go home and I want you to educate your daughter. I want you to educate your kids. I want you to talk to your kids. As long as you're having the conversation, I've accomplished what I'm trying to do.
Trolls.
I get tired of people posting stuff without checking the facts, and it's stuff.
Think about something.
I put this around my daughter walking into Target, and she's like, "Mom, somebody said that was fake." I'm like,
the bottom line is you have to treat everything as 100% real. And I would love to say that, put your head in the sand and say it doesn't happen, but it happens.
Well, you just learned all kinds of facts, right? You just learned facts. You can Google facts. You can go to Polaris website. You can go to the Cyber Tip Line. They have all kinds of great stuff.
There are employees that
Deputy Lewis?
The Target, they're talking about all the yellow signs that have the phone numbers or the text messages that are going out there.
Yeah, they're putting stuff on the windshield so you have to get out and pull it off.
There's many urban myths and different things that are out there, like, hey, don't flash your lights, they shoot at you gangs. When I was in San Diego, the bottom line is you have to be aware of what's around you. And if someone is saying that it's there, don't discredit it, because as soon as you discredit it, something happens, and you're stuck going, why didn't I believe it? Yes, ma'am. Gentlemen, let me tell you something. If you want to get online, Mom, you can actually Google something that happened, I think in Jersey, that they just took down. I think 25 people were through gaming. Guys, men going after boys. It was Fortnite. I'm not supposed to mention games or different things. Fortnite. Yeah.
It was Fortnite. Yeah, it was Fortnite. I actually posted it on my Facebook page, Paving the Way, and I also posted it in Nextdoor.
They'll be talking about it on Channel 35 tonight. Because I went and did an interview on it today.
Hey, and Deputy Lewis has something to say about all
I
this.
just want to mention, I want to just piggyback on what Kevin was saying. I was a school resource officer for 10 years in middle school. I saw more texting, sexting, than I had ever seen. So your middle school kids, they are participating in this. And sometimes the smarter they are, the cuter they are, those are the ones, the quiet ones. Those are the ones, and I've had to have parents come to my office on a daily basis almost and say, yeah, this is your kid. This is what your child is sending at school. So this starts very, very early, and I do agree with Kevin. Don't make yourself feel bad about being that helicopter parent. Remove some of those, the privacy. When I grew up, we didn't have privacy. All of this going into your room and shutting the door and get out of my room. I mean, sometimes you gotta just go back to old-fashioned, basic parenting. Because, when I grew up, if you slammed the door in my house, that door got removed. There was no door to slam. My room, you didn't have a room until you moved out. So, and also I took a class, this was very interesting because I took a class today sponsored by the Attorney General on cyberbullying. And one of the key factors that they were telling us today is to always tell parents, what is the most common place that you guys should keep a computer? Is it in your child's bedroom? With the door closed?
Living room.
Right in the living room, in the common areas where everybody is walking by. Parents, you gotta be parents. You gotta be parents. Give me that cell phone. It's 9 o'clock. You have no business with a phone in your room after 9 o'clock. Give you that phone. Monitor the phone. Like Kevin mentioned earlier, I was really shocked today at all of the apps that are out there. And of course, you know, my agency has a policy as well that we cannot endorse any one particular app, but there are apps out there that you can monitor your children's incoming calls, outgoing texts, incoming texts,
Every keystroke.
every conversation. There are apps out there, all of this privacy. I don't think a kid should have privacy.
I'm going to add something on this, just so you guys are aware. The 7-year-old victim that I had, her mom had the exact same thing that she was saying. But it became too much. And the mom was like, hey, look, she wanted an app all the time. I had to approve it. I was just approving. And she ended up approving something that predators were using. And they used that app to lure and get her into other apps that mom was approving, and to a point where they were asking for pictures, and she started sending them. And she was 7 years old. 7 years old, and there were 5 different subjects across the United States I had to track down. So it starts just as young as you guys think, as soon as you give them that iPad. Yes, ma'am. Well, the thing.
My son plays lacrosse, and so, you know, just by registering him for the health insurance coverage, he's now open to other lacrosse coaches. So we get an email, you know, hey, we'd like to talk to your son about his lacrosse. You know, I went to mom there, but my husband's like, you gotta just relax for a second. And I was like, okay, well, who's this dude? Was he sitting on the field? Did he have a clipboard? How does he know my son plays with the goal?
You're 100% correct. That helicopter is exactly what you're saying, but even nowadays, my kids in Seminole, if any pictures are taken or of them in class or anything else, we have to sign waivers. So I don't know what's going on out here, but I can tell you right now, if a science teacher or anybody's saying post pictures of yourself doing things online, I'd be happy to talk with the teacher. Because that might be something you guys need to talk with the school. You know, everything, even the lacrosse thing that you're talking about, that would be something I'd be taking up with the school. Because it shouldn't be happening. Yeah, we play with Atlantic City, and they make us do the daughter. My daughter's on the team. Hey, I know we're going down. We'll take one more question, and we'll stick around if you guys have any other questions. We do. Yes, ma'am. Talk to your school district.
Well, hang on.
Start with your principal and your PTA. PTA has more power than you have any idea. So start with your PTA.
Or your SAC.
Or your SAC. Yeah, or your SAC.
Start getting good groups such as this.
Yeah.
The fact that he was able to put you guys together
is huge. So your PTA, your principal, your teachers that your kids are in their class. Because I've actually gone into several schools because the teachers wanted me there. The principal was like, yeah, go for it. But the teachers wanted me there. So, you know, have that. There's dozens of ways. And we're actually working with Florida abolitionists in the Department of Education. We're doing a statewide public service announcement campaign in all the high schools for human trafficking. So there's movement to have this education come into our schools. But between now and then, your SAC, your PTA, your principals, your teachers, Avalon Foundation.
I think
School Advisory Council.
Advisory Council. And then another thing that you're looking at, I think Seminole County has actually made this part of the curriculum if I'm correct. I talked to Captain Francis, who's over there, and Captain Francis, I think, is now making where they're setting aside, I think it's an hour or 2 hours of mandatory that the students get this. So I think that is, they're moving towards it. Yes?
With who?
Aaron's Law. Yeah. I haven't seen anything with Aaron's Law. I don't know if Florida has that yet.
Yeah, no, well, that's one of the bills we're actually working on for this upcoming legislative session.
Any education and awareness, and the thing about it is a lot of parents, like I said, get upset when you hear about the sexting, and when you're giving it to sixth graders. But the bottom line is, just like Debbie said, is it's happening.
So we're
going to stick around. We want to leave you with action items. Okay, so I'm going to start with Deputy Lewis, because we want to actually, you're now educated, hopefully you're slightly empowered, right? But we want to give you what there is to do, okay? Because we just want you left with this overwhelmer, oh my God, I feel bad, no. So Deputy Lewis, we're going to start with you.
So far as actions, what I tell for parents, just go that extra step with your kids with their phones. Check their phones, grab their phones. You pay the phone bill. They don't pay the phone bill. It's not their phone. It's your phone. You're loaning them the phone. Take the phone. And then so far as for resources, the Sheriff's Office, if you go into the Orange County Sheriff's Office website, we do have a human trafficking division. You can go on there, download all of our brochures that we have that is pertaining to tonight's information. So far as cyberbullying, texting, the human trafficking, all of that information is on our website, and we do have, the sergeants, the captains, lieutenants, and the people that are in those divisions that try to keep the information updated. Okay.
The tips that were in my presentation, take them home. The bottom line is education and awareness. Quiz your kids, talk to your kids. When it's time to give them a phone, sit down and tell them what's out there. Because if you're not making them aware of what the dangers are, you're only setting them up to send them to the playground without any kind of supervision. And just remember, when you lock your door at home, you're safe. Everybody thinks you're safe. However, when you open that computer and you get on the internet, you brought the world into. So just think about that.
So many things, just one. So there's postcards at the very back of the room, signs of human trafficking and recruitment tactics. Take these, bring them home, talk to your kids about them. That's my tip. Talk to your kids. You want to come on back up and close us out, Brian?
Sure, I'm not going to sit here and talk. I'm just going to tell everybody to take a deep breath right now. Everybody, all at once, deep breath. When you get home, have a glass of wine or something like that. Try to just take a deep breath and relax. But this is serious, obviously. And one thing I want to tell you, the deputy said was, I'm like 10 helicopters in my house, but you got to be smart about how you talk to your kids, because unfortunately they lie to you. And so I would just recommend, like the deputy said, I call it my surprise attack. Surprise them. Knock on their bedroom door, ask to see their phone at the oddest times. Those are the things that are going to help you. And I think really the last thing that I would say is just we can't prevent, we can't prevent things from happening. We can deter it. We can do our best to be a helicopter and make sure that we do our best to keep our children, protect our children. And I think the best way to do that is just life is going to happen. They're going to have the apps and stuff on their phone as they get older, so we just have to teach them and hopefully save their lives. So that's all I have. Any question?
Call me.
When you say happens, what happens? Okay.
The thing that you want to call law enforcement and notify them. If people are sexting or if they've sent videos or they've done things, obviously if you're still in conversation with them, I want to try to take over your kid's account because I'm going to try to find out who this person is. If it's another kid, then obviously I'll try to go retrieve the videos or photos that your kid has sent. If it's human trafficking, you got the human trafficking hotline. You're going to contact law enforcement, let them know. But the bottom line is, and this is one point that you guys all that I forgot to mention in my presentation, is if it happens, you got to remember your kid is a victim. Okay, don't treat them as I told you, just like mom said, give me the phone, because as soon as you do that, they're gone, and they're not going to listen. You got to treat them as victims. They are 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, all the way down, going against 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, that are minds that have been on, and they do this, it's a profession. So they're being victims of professional predators. So treat them as victims, and know that, it is very sensitive, but definitely notify law enforcement.
So we can't just call you anytime?
No.
You can call.
Okay, we're going to wrap up to be respectful of the location here. I have two quick announcements. The first one is Championship Martial Arts here in Avalon Park is going to be doing a free stranger danger class for the community. So if you guys can watch their page, they'll be announcing that at the next night out. Yes, National Night Out. They'll be announcing when this will be. So watch their page, Championship Martial Arts. We also have some whistles here available. I think they're at the back. I'll go and check. But we've got some safety whistles, the red ones that I know Joe Canetti in the community has helped provide those through donations in the past. And one other thing is this is on Facebook Live on our Avalon Park Foundation page. So please share the link. All this information is there with all the contact information. So that's one thing that we each can do is talk about this, share it, and the biggest thing is, like everyone has said, is talk to our kids. Love them, talk to them, educate them.
Mention when National Night Out is, October 2nd.
Yes. National Night Out will be October 2nd.
Second.
In the town park here in Avalon. Thank you all so much for coming.